Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? My name is Tony Rosano, and this is another episode of the world famous, the University Love, the best podcast in 1, 2, 3 galaxies. Ladies and gentlemen, you and I, we just call this show Online Marketing Moves, and we are coming to you live today. This is the best show. This is the best podcast in 3 galaxies, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, we are on our way on the up and up with this show. And so, before we get started today, if you like the show, if you love the show, like, subscribe so you can get your downloads every day. You know, we come to you Monday through Friday. I know this week that didn't happen, but I was a little under the weather. But Monday through Friday, and then sometimes on Saturday, record bonus episodes. And once the baby is gets a little older, we'll be able to go back to doing some recordings on Sundays as well. You know, but a lot of times on Sunday, I spend most of my day, you know, with the baby, and we have a good time, and you know that's that. But does not mean you can't record content when you have a child. You just have to figure things out, ladies and gentlemen, okay? Right now, I'll tell you this. My daughter, I put her down to sleep, turned on the white noise. I was cleaning up her room. We have family coming over, so you know you gotta have the house clean. My wife demands it, so I'm here cleaning a little bit. And I said, you know what? Today's a good day for me to record. Haven't recorded since I don't think Wednesday. And so I said, yeah, let me turn on the white noise. Let me put her down. She's sleeping. I can record. I can be free. And it's a 2 birds with 1 stone kind of situation. You know what I'm saying? But there will always be, and this is not to go on a different subject, but there will always be things that are in your way, you know, and I don't mean this in a bad way. I don't mean this, you know, because as you well know, I love my child to pieces. It's one of the best things that ever happened to me. But she has definitely slowed down the recording process. You know what I mean? Like it used to be, I could record every day before I went to work. I would go to sleep. I would wake up, record, boom, 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 be done with it. But now, you have a baby. You have to wait till they sleep. You know, and then sometimes you be in the middle of recording, and then it's just now you just and for me, it's like sometimes when I'm at work, I think I'm like, is the baby crying? And I'm like, oh, I'm at work, no baby crying. So, you know, there's a process, and that goes with anything, you know. There's always going to be something going on, but that does not mean you cannot work on your dreams. No matter what, no matter who, there's always going to be something. But your determination is your determination. If you are, you know, hungry, if you are determined, you know, you will get to where you're going. It might take longer for you than it might for the next person, but it does not matter. It's about the journey, you know. The destination, don't think about the destination as much as you think about the journey, because life itself is one long journey, you know. And you have to think about this. You know, do you remember when you was 21? Some of you might be 21 actually. I remember when I was 21. I was 21 in the year 2000. 2000, I was 21, and I thought to myself, and I remember, I was in the military, and we used to go out, and one time it was a woman, and she was probably in her early 30s, and she was talking to me, and I was like, you know, can I get your phone number or whatever? And she gave me her number, and she was like, I'm 31, and I was like, 31. I'm like, you are old as dirt. But if you think about it, we are in the year 2100. We not 2100, but we are in 2021. And most of us are gonna what? In the body that you have, you're gonna spend what? Let's say that my wife, she had an aunt. Her aunt was 106. 106 is a long time for a human being. You think? Yeah, it is. But that's not even like 10% of. That's not even 10% of the time that Earth has been. 2,100 years, and before that. So your time on this Earth is short. You know what I mean? Like, your time is short if you think about it. It's not long at all. No matter if you're 70, 80, 90, it does not matter. The form, the being that you are on this Earth, the walking, talking person listening to this podcast right now, you're not going to be here forever. We all know that. You're going to be here for a short time. Does not matter if you're 30 or you're 90, You know how I told you I had a cousin. He died, he was 40. Short time. But I'm not, I'm going to be, 120 before I pass, and it's still a short amount of time. You know what I mean? So don't think about reaching a destination, just go with the journey. The journey is a beautiful thing. The journey is full of, hope. It's full of joy. It's full of sad times. It's full of good times. There will be some weeks there'll be some weeks that are just rough, and you're gonna kick out of it. I know people like to think they have the worst luck, but bad things happen. But you just have to keep moving forward, and your luck is never bad all the time. And you have to position yourself to put yourself in a position where you don't have bad luck as often as most people, okay? And you'll be all right. But just enjoy the journey. Just enjoy the trip. Because before you know it, you'll be 42. Or before you know it, you'll be 80, I look at my parents, and my parents are 67 now. My dad will be 68 in about two or 3 weeks. And I'm like, it's so crazy that my dad is like 68 years old. And I remember it seemed like yesterday we was out playing baseball at the park. Me and my mom, dad, and brother. It was the four of us, and we used to go play baseball at a park, And they were in there. I was probably 7 or 8, so they had to be like 32, 33, something like that. And it seemed like that was yesterday. And fast forward, they came here a couple weeks ago, and they was holding their granddaughter, and I was like, and my mom was like, "You have a baby," and I was like, "Yeah, I do have a baby." It's very cool, and it's very, not strange, but sometimes when I'm, I step out of. Sometimes you should do this. You should do this every now and then. I do this sometimes. I step out of myself. I'm like, all right, let's step away. Let's step away and let's look into our inner selves, And if you would have told me when I first started driving trucks that I would be, having a baby and living in Georgia, I would have said, you're nuts. But here we are, and I thought to myself, my parents were here, and my brother was down here, and they was all holding the baby, and I'm just looking at her, and she's looking at me, and she has a little hand on my finger. And I'm like, man, this is so amazing how this journey, how this, trip of life has caused, this whole gathering. It has been 2 years since I've seen my parents, with COVID and everything, and not traveling as much, and the not being on the road as much. It's been 2 years, and I thought, if the baby wasn't here, it probably would have been even longer for me without seeing him. But since the baby was here, you got to come see the baby, And it was quite the experience and quite the nice time, and it's just part of the journey. And I remember, my mom was like, "Are you gonna go record now?" And I'm like, Yeah, well, actually, I am gonna go record. And she's like, "Oh, okay." And it's funny how my family treats. You know, I told him I was. I told my brother. I told my brother that, and I told my brother that I was doing a podcast a year and a half ago, something like that, and he's like, "I won't tell nobody." And so he said he was listening to it, and they walked in the door. They came to his house, and they walked into this door, and they heard a voice, and they was like, "Who is that?" And he was like, "Huh?" And they was like, "What are you listening to?" And he's like, "A podcast." And they was like, "Oh." And then he was like, "You know who that is?" And they was like, "It sounds familiar." They said, "That's your son." And so ever since then, my mom, she listened for a little while, but she fell off, but that's all right. And it's I thought about this the other day, and I talk about the journey because I thought about this the other day, and we have over the podcast, we have over 5,000 downloads. We are on our way on the up and up, and it's a slow burn. Don't get me wrong. It's a it's a labor of love for me. I love doing the podcast. I enjoy it. I'm not the richest man from doing the podcast. Not yet. I ain't. But it's been a lot of fun, and it's been quite the learning experience. And I've learned a lot, and I'm hoping that you are entertained by the podcast in some way or fashion. I mean, you wouldn't be here if you wasn't, but it just makes me have hope for I tell people anybody can get started, and I have over we have 5,000 downloads, and if you would have told me that a year and a half ago, I'd have said you're nuts, And if you would have told me a year and a half ago that people listen from across the world, I'd have said you're nuts as well, And if you would have told me that I would actually be decent at this, I would say you're nuts as well, And it's I don't think about I thought about this the other day, and I don't think about the end because I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen, and I have no expectations. And that's something, like, people talk about goal setting, and I know we talked about that before, and having goals are cool, and having goals are great and everything like that, but don't put your heart and soul into goals. Don't put your heart and soul into the finish line. Put your heart and soul into the dedication. Put your heart and soul into the everyday showing up and doing the work. Put your heart and soul into the journey of the trip. Don't worry about. Sorry about that. Don't worry about what if. And don't worry about what's gonna happen. Don't worry about what's gonna happen if X, Y, and Z. Just keep going, and everything will take care of itself. The most important thing that you can do is show up. The most important thing you can do is be consistent. The most important thing you can do is put in the work. And yeah, you need some strategy and all that kind of stuff. Don't get me wrong, but if you just keep going, great things are gonna happen. Like I'll tell you why I say that, because this here podcast we got going on, we don't do a whole lot of marketing. I'll be upfront and honest with you. We don't really market. I go on Twitter. Hell, sometimes I forget to go on Twitter and do the podcast. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think that really helps. Twitter. I don't think Twitter really does anything for the podcast. To be honest with you, maybe it does, maybe it don't. I don't know. I don't really pay attention to the stats, but I keep telling myself every week I'm going to do an Instagram page for the online marketing moves, blah blah blah. Every week passes and I still haven't done it yet. And Facebook, I'm just like, So there's not a lot of fanfare to this show. You know, we don't. My marketing for the show is god awful. I'll be perfectly honest with you. It's god awful. But every day we come in, every day we put in the work, every day we show up, we do the podcast. It's been that way. We have 400 something episodes. I think 400 something episodes. And we will, 2022, I thought the other day, we will definitely turn up the heat as far as marketing and everything like that. But it does not matter because, and I'll be honest with you, this show gets big, which it will. I'm going to miss this. I'm going to miss doing this show, in this style of. Sorry, these damn people from Amazon dropped off a package, and you don't know where the hell they put it. But I'm gonna miss doing this style of show. I'm gonna miss the renegade side of the podcast because, as you well know, in order to grow, you can't do renegade forever. You can't, sit here and shoot the bull with you all the time. You can't, go off different tangents, go off different subjects. You have to get produced. You have to, interview people. You have to do different things. You have to sort of conform a little bit. I'm not saying you have to conform all the way, but you have to do things a little different in order to grow. I know that. You know that. We all know that. And so, but I'm gonna miss this. I'm gonna miss, and I'm still gonna do it, but I'm not gonna put it in the podcast form. I'm not gonna riff and be like, hey, check out the podcast. No, this will probably be because eventually I'm going to start charging. Eventually we're gonna get to a point where I don't know about charging, but we'll have to see about the advertising and everything like that. And we gotta I gotta get to the point where we take this podcast in one main direction, one complete focus, and it's not a bad thing. It's necessary in order for you to grow, and it's part of the journey. But I guess I just want to take the time to say this part of the journey, this last 18 months with the podcast, I've really enjoyed you. I've enjoyed doing it. I've enjoyed doing it from here to Timbuktu, from anywhere from Pennsylvania to Texas and Ohio and Georgia, in the truck, out of the truck, in the car, on the truck, in the back of the truck, around the truck, in the house, upstairs, downstairs, in the kitchen. I've recorded everywhere, and it's been fun. It's been exciting, and it's been quite the journey. And I know now that in order to really get to where I want to go, in order to really go up, you have to do things different. The renegade style, I love it, but we can't do this forever. We have to start being produced. We have to start interviewing people. We have to start doing different things, and we will do those, and we will start rolling those out soon, and we will let you know. And hopefully you'll contact me and say, hey, I used to listen when we was doing the renegade style, and I'll be like, all right, my people. And it's don't start crying when we go commercial, because we will be going commercial. We will be going big time. We will be getting plenty more downloads, and it will definitely not sound like this. It will be one direction. It will be one focus in every episode. It won't be tangents. It won't be this. It won't be that. Like, I know this. You have to know that. It's just what it is. But for right now, we're gonna keep going the way things are going, and soon we'll announce. Whenever I get the production up and everything like that, that it's gonna be a change in the podcast. But until then, Hey, I love you, and I greatly appreciate you coming along with me on this journey, and I hope whatever you do to create content, doesn't matter what you do, video, audio, I hope whatever you do, enjoy the process, enjoy the first. I'm telling you, nothing's better than that first month. I'm just winging it. You're just winging it. You don't care. You're like, I don't really give a shit. I don't really care, And you're just talking. Nobody's listening. I'll be honest with you. Who cares? It's you, and it's you recording, and it's therapeutic, and it's for you. The first 30 days are mainly for you. If you do videos or if you do, podcasts or writing or whatever, the first 30 days are for you. It's about you. It's you starting something. They say 21 days of habits and all that. BS. Whatever. I don't know, but it's definitely you'll get the hang of it. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that was a very long-winded speech about the journey, but you know what I mean? And it is what it is. The journey, it's beautiful. But what I want to talk about is being focused and eliminating outside noise, eliminating distractions, and we will talk about that right after this commercial break. All right, listen to this ad about Anchor, and we'll be back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to talk about focus. We will make this brief. Ladies and gentlemen, in order for you to be highly successful, in order for you to really get to where you want to go, in order for you to make all the monies, become a full-time entrepreneur, you have to have laser-like focus. You have to eliminate a lot of distractions out of your life. Ladies and gentlemen, distractions are your enemies, and you have to take the enemy out. What can you do to take the enemy out? There's a lot of different things you can do. Get off the phone, stop calling certain people. You have to eliminate some, on the friends. I'm not saying eliminate everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, I have one friend that I call on the telephone on a regular basis. That's the only friend I'm ever going to call on a regular basis. Anybody else, they can get a text message. That's it. Can't be sitting on the phone with them all day. Distractions. Watching TV, a distraction. I started watching TV with the baby because I thought all this helps the baby. No, it only helps me. I gotta get back off that nonsense of watching TV. We would watch a show or two, and I'm like, why am I still watching the show? Okay, it's a distraction. I could be on my phone. I have an iPhone, and they have notes on the iPhone. You could write emails on that. You can write articles on that. You can do a lot of different things besides being on the turn the music on if you have to for your TV or whatever, but background noise. But definitely, find there's time to be using. There's time that you definitely could be taking advantage of different things, and so you have to have the focus. If there's no focus, then it's not going to happen. Being an entrepreneur it's about you. It's about being focused. It's about doing the things that you need to do. You can't, tell me. I'm not saying you can't take a vacation. Take a vacation. And all that good stuff. God bless you. But if you really want to get started, if you just sort of putting away and you're taking vacations and you're like, oh, I'll get back to it. You're really not gonna make it. I know people like to talk about work life balance, but is there a balance? I mean, I don't really think so. I'm from a different time. Like when I work, I work. I don't. I work, and then because when I work, I'm like a crazy person. I work for hours and hours and hours, and I don't want to stop. Like my wife, she's the only person that I sit there and watch TV with her. She likes to watch TV. I'll sit there and watch TV with her because I love my wife. And my daughter, Eventually, she'll want to watch TV. I'll watch the TV show with them. But other than that, that's it. You know, me to watch the TV, no, I've cut that back out. You know, you think you're doing the right thing because, you know, you have the child and you're like, I want my child, I want her to be able to go to sleep. Does this make her sleep better? And it's like, don't be an idiot. No. In my mind, I thought I was doing it, but I'm like, she's sleeping anyway. Don't matter what I turn on, she's sleeping. You know what I mean? So, you have to have the focus. I'm not saying you be a prick about things. You have to tell people, you know, hey, go F yourself. I ain't got time for you no more, you know. But we all have those people that in our lives that are sort of on the fringe, you know. You know what I'm talking about. We have those people. And so, you know, scale back. You don't have. I'll tell you something that I used to do that I'm like, I got to kick that habit. Around lunchtime, you know, I use a lot of unused. I waste a lot of time sometimes. Around lunchtime, I need to go out and get something to eat, you know. And I would say, okay, you know, let me get the baby and we're going to go. And then I would go down and, you know, doing all this, getting lunch and all this stuff. It's like 40 minutes, 45 minutes. Come back, you got to eat. Then you're kind of full. So I'm wasting like an hour and a half, 2 hours for lunch. And where I could be sitting here writing, you know, I could make me a stupid sandwich right at home. And so now every week I'm going to go to the grocery store, buy stuff for my lunch, make my lunch right at home, eat at home, you know, and get back to work, you know, 30 minutes, you know. Feeding the baby don't take that long for me. It took longer to, you know, go out and get lunch and come back and eat the lunch and blah, 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 blah. And so there's a lot of unused time. And so there's a greater focus that I'm starting to have. And I want the same for you. And so if you one of these people, and just it's not that you're doing it on purpose. You know, we don't do this on purpose. None of us do this on purpose. You know, we all have goals. You know, we all talk about this. We all have goals. We all have dreams. We all have thoughts of grandeur, what we want to do. You know, you want to do this, you want to do that. You want to be at the top of the mountain, king of the hill, queen of the hill. However you want to put it, however you want to say it. You know, him, her, they, them, whatever. We all have these thoughts. We all have these dreams. We all have these passions. And we want to get there. And sometimes we think, I'm giving it all she got, Captain. But are you? Write down, when you're sitting at home one day, either write it down or think about it. Well, no, I'll say write it down. Write down everything you do in a day and the time it takes for you to do it. Write it down and see where you're wasting time. And you will be amazed at how much time you actually waste. I'm telling you. If you do that, and then you learn to get focused. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be focused all the time. You don't have to be focused forever. But we need you to be focused for a few months. Getting this thing off the ground. Focus. If you can focus then, get the machine off the ground, watch how beautiful it can become. I see my friend. I talk to my friend. He's like, yeah, I go to he has a donut shop. He you know, the first 5, 6, 7 years, he was in there every day, grinding it out. Now he's like, I go in there sometimes I don't. I have a lot of time on my hands now. I like it. I'm like, that's cool. And so I hope that for you. I hope that for me. And we will get to that point. And but for right now, you have to have a focus. And so if you're wasting a lot of time, you don't realize it. Write down your daily habits. Write down what you do all day. You know, if you're on the Instagram a lot, write that down. Figure out a way you can cut that out, you know. But you got to have focus. The more focused you are, the better off you will be. All right? Laser focus. Laser. You know, on the horse, when you go to horse racing, they have the blinders on the horse. So all the horse can see is forward. That's what you need. No, you're not a horse, but, you know, you need to have the vision of a horse. Tunnel vision, where you just see yourself. You see your goal. You see your destination. You see the journey. You know? When I mean destination, I don't mean actual destination. I just mean the journey. I didn't mean to say destination. Because we all know the destination. Who cares about that? It's about the journey. And so, ladies and gentlemen, get that focus going. Really get that focus going. Write down how much time you're pissing away. Because we all piss time away. Trust me. Trust and believe you me. We all piss time away. But, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Online Marketing Moves. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already, subscribe to the podcast. We come to you Monday through Friday. We're going to start doing bonus episodes every Saturday. And then we'll be back for some. We used to do Sunday motivation. We'll be back to that one of these days. But until then, thank you for listening. My name is Tony Rizzano. If you haven't already, tell a friend about the greatest podcast in 3 galaxies. And we'll be back Monday with all new episode of Online Marketing Moves. But until then, my name is Tony Rizzano. Thank you for listening. And as always, everybody, peace.